At the end of the last millennium, writer and director Stephen Sommers brought Universal Pictures' The Mummy to life on the silver screen in the May of 1999. The film made $416 million at the worldwide box office and was a huge success for the studio. As of 2015, the film has spawned numerous spin-offs and sequels, and in this episode of Cutting Edge, we'll be taking a look at the BBFC cuts that were made to the first 3 films that were released as part of the Mummy series. The Mummy was initially submitted to the BBFC in 1999, and with the film having received a PG-13 rating in the United States, the filmmakers wanted the UK's equivalent rating, the 12, for its British release. However, the BBFC objected to a scene early in the film that featured Brendan Fraser's character Rick O'Connell being hanged. He is saved from death by Evelyn, played by Rachel Weisz, but the board objected to the film's portrayal of the event, as they later recounted in their annual report for 1999. One particular issue for the board is that of imitable techniques, especially in relation to films aimed at younger audiences who may not always be able to understand the consequences of their actions. One of the year's most popular films, The Mummy, was classified 12, but not before 14 seconds were cut from a hanging sequence. The length of the original sequence and the lack of adverse effects on the hero as a result of his being hanged was a cause for concern, and could be interpreted by young viewers as indicating that hanging was not a particularly dangerous activity. The uncut version of the scene plays as follows.
His neck did not break! Oh, I'm so sorry. Now we must watch him strangled to death.
He knows the location to Hamanaptra.
You lie.
I would never!
Are you telling me this filthy, godless son of a pig knows where to find the city of the dead?
Yes.
Truly?
Yes! And if you cut him down, we will give you 10%.
50%.
20.
40.
30.
25.
Deal.
Cut him down!
In order for the filmmakers to attain their 12 rating, the BBFC demanded 4 cuts to the mummy's hanging sequence, the first of which stated, "The full shot of Connell falling through the trapdoor and dangling must be removed." As Evelyn barters for O'Connell's life with the prison warden Hassan, we are treated to various cross-cuts to O'Connell as he suffers on the end of the noose. One of these cutaways to our hero features a pan across the prison's cheering crowd, which ends on a shot of O'Connell continuing to struggle. Again, the BBFC objected, stating, "Remove the last part of the pan across the courtyard to remove the sight of Connell dangling on the rope." A further 3 cuts of O'Connell hanging were also removed, which resulted in the loss of dialogue between Evelyn and Hassan. With the necessary cuts made, the hanging scene in the UK cinema version played something like this.
His neck did not break! Oh, I'm so sorry. Now we must watch him strangled to death.
He knows the location to Hamanaptra.
You lie.
I would never!
Truly?
Yes! And if you cut him down, we will give you
50%.
20.
40.
30.
25.
Deal.
Cut him down!
The Mummy was classified on June 14, 1999 after cuts, with the BBFC noting the film had been past 12 for frequent, scary scenes of horror. The film came into the BBFC for a home video rating later that year, with Universal Pictures submitting the uncut version of the film. Once again, the BBFC demanded that the hanging scene be cut for video, and the distributors duly complied. However, the edits made amounted to 18 seconds, in comparison to the 14 seconds of cuts made on film, due to the removal of extra dialogue, as well as the use of substituted footage. To begin with, a line of dialogue spoken by Hassan was muted on the soundtrack. As O'Connell stands on the gallows, Evelyn offers £500 to Hassan in order to save O'Connell's life. In the uncut version, Hassan calls a halt to the proceedings and turns towards Evelyn. Placing his hand on her thigh suggestively, he says,
"I'm a very lonely man."
In the UK video version, however, his line about being a lonely man is muted on the soundtrack. With regards to the editing of the hanging sequence, the initial wide shot of O'Connell dropping through the trapdoor was partially reinstated for the VHS release, with the BBFC allowing the beginning of the shot to remain, so long as the rest of the shot, which tracked in to focus on his struggling, was removed. The panning shot across the courtyard that ends with the sight of O'Connell struggling was cut short, as it was in the UK cinema version. The last 3 shots of O'Connell on the rub were also removed, as they had been in the UK cinema version, but some substituted footage was also used to smooth over the cuts. Evelyn looking off screen was reinstated, followed by an insert of the panning shot across the prison crowd, and her line 10% was also reinstated. As a result of these new changes, the hanging scene now played as follows. The changes are slight and may not be immediately apparent, but it is presented here for demonstrational purposes nonetheless.
Of course we don't let him go. Yalla, bada!
£500.
Wakaf andak. And what else? Yalla, tlak!
No!
His neck did not break! Oh, I'm so sorry. Now we must watch him strangled to death.
He knows the location to Hammond Aptra.
You lie.
I would never.
Truly?
Yes. And if you cut him down, we will give you 10%,
50%.
20,
40.
30.
25.
Deal.
Cut him down!
With these cuts made, The Mummy was passed with a 12 rating for a VHS release on December 1st, 1999. However, the film was again seen by the BBFC for a UK DVD classification in early 2000, with Columbia TriStar submitting the uncut version of the film. Despite internal BBFC guidelines that supposedly prevented an uncut version of a film being available on the market at the same time as a cut version, the DVD version was passed uncut with a 15 rating on February 4th, 2000, which saw the previously cut footage reinstated in full. One can only assume this was permitted due to the fact that the DVD format was in its relative infancy, and the DVD cover clearly stated that the version of The Mummy on disc was the full uncut version. With the VHS format on the way out, this 15 rated version of The Mummy would become the standard version available to British consumers, and is the version currently available on the UK Blu-ray disc. The sequel to the original film was released in the United States on May 4th, 2001, after minor edits had been made to the film to satisfy the MPAA. This PG-13 cut of the film was submitted to the BBFC for a cinema rating, but one brief occurrence late in the film was cited as being problematic by the BBFC, which had to be removed in order for a 12 rating to be granted. The cut in question occurs during a fight scene between Evelyn and Ankh Sunamun, where the former headbutts the latter after she is trapped against a wall.
That's a little something new.
For the UK version, 2 shots were affected. A close shot of Evelyn throwing the headbutt is trimmed at the end by a few frames, and the following medium shot of Aang Suna-moon recoiling suggests that Evelyn forces her opponent away in a less violent manner.
Mete que saca tu belletes.
That's a little something new.
With cuts made, The Mummy Returns was past 12 on May 18, 2001, with the BBFC stating that the film contains scary scenes of horror and moderate violence. The film was later resubmitted for a video classification in its original PG-13 form, and the same headbutt was cited for deletion by the board for a 12 rating on video. The cut video version was classified on September 20, 2001, and was released on video and DVD. This was the only version available to UK buyers until 2008, when a double-disc DVD set was released that contained the uncut 15-rated version of The Mummy and a new 12-rated version of The Mummy Returns. The latter had been resubmitted for a DVD classification and passed with the headbutt reinstated whilst retaining its 12 certificate. This uncut version was later released on Blu-ray, and all current editions of The Mummy Returns are thus uncut in the UK. This spin-off/prequel to The Mummy starred Dwayne Johnson, billed as The Rock, as the titular character, and was released in the United States on April 19, 2002 with a PG-13 rating. The filmmakers submitted the film to the BBFC for an advice viewing, indicating that they wished to retain a 12 rating. After viewing the film, the BBFC indicated that a headbutt delivered by The Rock was likely to push the film up to a 15 rating, so the filmmakers edited this occurrence from the feature before submitting it for a formal theatrical classification.
Die well, assassin.
The film was classified by the BBFC with a 12 rating on April 19, 2002 for moderate action violence. This cut version was released on VHS and DVD, but whilst the latter sports a 15 rating, it only does so due to the DVD's commentary by The Rock having earned a 15 rating. The feature itself is still the cut 12 version. It would appear that the UK Blu-ray release also sports the cut version, as the uncut Belgian release has additional Chinese and Dutch subtitles that do not appear on the UK disc. However, the status of the UK Blu-ray is yet to be confirmed at the time this episode was made. British fans wishing to confidently buy uncut versions of The Mummy, The Mummy Returns, and The Scorpion King can purchase the American Blu-ray releases of all three films, as they are fully uncut and region-free, allowing playback on any UK Blu-ray players. The UK Blu-ray releases of The Mummy and The Mummy Returns are also fully uncut, but film collectors who wish to have consistent packaging may wish to import all three films from the United States instead, since American Blu-ray cases differ in size in comparison to their UK counterparts.